Rockstar released the latest Red Dead trailer last week. We're going to take a deeper dive and look at every single detail. Hey guys, JV here, and today I'm breaking down the newest Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer. Before we get into that, just a heads up, you can find daily streams of the newest games, as well as commentaries just like this on my Facebook page. So, check out the link in the description below and stay tuned for tons of awesome content. We're going to go ahead and watch the trailer in its entirety first, and then we'll break it down from start to finish. So, here it goes.
Listen to me. We don't want to kill any of you. But trust me, we will. Wake them up a little! This whole thing is pretty much done. We're more ghosts than people. You have got to keep faith. They will not crush us.
Good old Dutch. My best friend. You know how we met? Pair of hucksters trying to rob each other. Back in 78 or thereabouts.
You have to love yourself a fire. It's one of the blessings. Sure, we can have fire. And we can have the knowledge of fire. But with that comes the knowledge of everything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a robbery.
Sons of Dutch. Makes us brothers. Sometimes, brothers make mistakes.
You'll never change. I know that.
All of you venerate savagery. And you will die savagely. Get out here!
Stay strong. Stay with me. You have to love yourself a fire.
Product not yet rated.
Okay, so first off, a fantastic trailer. Really, really awesome. Well done. But we're looking at one of the jobs here, which is a train job. I'm going to loop this a few times for you guys just to point out some details. So, we had a few train-themed missions in Red Dead Redemption, but this seems to be a lot more robust. As we can tell, this is kind of like an armored train car here. The, body of what this train is looks a lot more sturdy than what we were robbing in the previous game. Meanwhile, we have Dutch Vanderlyn, leader of Dutch's gang, obviously, threatening the people inside. We also see that our main character, Arthur Morgan, is here. He's actually to the left of Dutch when they're all lined up, ready to go ahead and rob this train. Also, small little detail, we're going to pause on the gun here. Each of the individual parts of this revolver here are independently animated, and so this is a very intricate detail. This is not something you see in a lot of games. They act independently just like a real gun, so super awesome detail there. Next, we get a little bit of voiceover and story exposition. We have a little scene here with our protagonist, Arthur Morgan, talking to Sadie Adler, a fellow member of Dutch's gang, and the description for her is that she has a knack for getting in and out of trouble. So that's kind of her little bit of story there. We get a nice profile of the leading members of the gang here riding on their horses. We've got Dutch, Arthur Morgan, Sadie Adler, John Marston, protagonist of the original game, Bill Williamson, Charles Smith, and Javier Escuela. And a little subtext about the story: by 1899, the West had nearly been tamed. This is their old way of life, now they're having to adjust. This next section features more dialogue from Dutch, and he's trying to convince Arthur, which is us the player, that the age of gunslingers and outlaws is still around, and they're going to fight whatever opposition tries to stop them from living their way of life. We have this more subtext here that says the age of gunslingers and outlaws had almost passed into myth. Before we move on, here's a little profile on Dutch Vanderlyn straight from IGN. He's the leader of his gang, and he has a dream to live a life that's free of the restrictions of government and law. He has a talent for bringing out ambition in the people that follow him, which makes him especially dangerous to the authorities pursuing him because he views them as the ultimate criminals, the ones who will end his way of life. Next, we have this campfire scene, which is interesting for a few reasons. Number one, it's narrated by Hosea Matthews, who is the second oldest member of Dutch's gang. He was actually one of the first members of the gang when he tried to rob Dutch. Simultaneously, Dutch tried to rob him at the same time, and that's how the two met. So really cool backstory there, but why this is also so cool is the lighting is amazing, obviously. The sky, the environment is beautiful, but this interaction is completely optional. This is something that you, Arthur Morgan, can walk up to and witness happen and partake it. However, you could also skip it. It looks like a cutscene, but it's entirely optional. In this next section, we have a lot to look at, but in terms of narration, we have this extended metaphor about loving a fire, respecting a fire, and kind of indicating that with that fire, things are going to change. That's just how stuff goes. And so, again, this is reflecting their struggle with everything becoming more modern and things changing their way of life. In terms of what we're seeing, it appears like this is Arthur Morgan roping some horses, and this is something we could do at the McFarlane farm, for example, in Red Dead Redemption with John Marston. So perhaps this odd job will return for Arthur Morgan. Moving on, we have the town of Valentine here, and there's a lot going on in this little scene. We can see the newsboy selling papers, there's a beggar in the bottom left, we have the horse-drawn carriage, there's the guy walking in the foreground, the other guy in the tan jacket walking across the road. All of these people have jobs. They're all walking to do something. They have chores and errands and places to be. These are not just scripted events. Well, they are scripted, but they're highly dynamic, and everyone has a purpose in this world. That's something that Rockstar is hammering down, so we should expect some very unique interactions with all of these NPCs. We're actually going to see the town later again in the trailer, so remember what it looks like. Moving on, we have this little section with looks like some fire breathing, some kind of show going on in the same town. Then we have a doctor working on a patient, and then some more interesting backdrops with the fire in the background, and then Arthur Morgan walking along the graveyard. Again, the extended fire metaphor is going on the entire time during these scenes. Moving on, the action picks up. We get a little scene from one of the robbery main missions in the game where we rob the bank in Valentine. In terms of narration, I think we hear Bill Williams saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is a robbery," and then some other guy who's, I guess, meeting Arthur and saying that they're friends of Dutch. We have a perfect opportunity to pause here because we get a great look at a lot of gang members in Dutch's gang. Again, this is the same town that we just saw with the people walking through it. This is Valentine. So on the left, we have Javier Escuela, which is actually a character from Red Dead Redemption, if you guys remember. Javier is one of the people that John Marston tracks down and kills or captures. He worked as a hired gun for President Sanchez in Mexico, Colonel Allende, and Captain DeSanta. Second to left is Arthur Morgan, our protagonist. He's Dutch's right-hand man and chief enforcer of the gang. We know that he was recruited at a young age and he's lived as an outlaw ever since. And in the middle with the beard is Bill Williamson, and he's described as impulsive, brash, violent, and stupid. He might be valuable in a robbery, but he's going to be a liability to the rest of the gang. Again, another character that we see John Marston encounter in the first game. Second to the right is Charles Smith, a brand new character described as one of the younger members of the gang. We saw him offering Arthur Morgan some help in the previous trailer, but he looks like a member who's always up for a fight. And then finally, we have Dutch on the right. We've already talked about him. Moving on, we have more narration. First from Micah Bell, who is this guy on the horse talking to Arthur. He says, "Sometimes brothers make mistakes." Apparently, Micah is one of Dutch's favorite gunmen, and we don't know how loyal he is to the gang itself, so maybe that'll play a role in the story. We also have some heists going on, gang members riding up alongside a train. We can see Arthur Morgan there leading the way. And then we have a little bit of a horse-drawn carriage heist here. We also have this woman saying, "I know you'll never change." We don't know who she is, what her relation is with. This could be a family member, a love interest. We have no idea right now. In this next portion, we have very little dialogue, but it's from this, presumably an antagonist, this prim and proper guy in a bowler hat. He says, "All of you venerate savagery and you will die savagely." That's a pretty sick line, if I do say so myself. We do have a lot of details in these clips, though. First off, we have the antagonist surrounded by Dutch's gang. Obviously, some kind of encounter here. We see Charles, we see Sadie, we see a lot of gang members gathered around as well. We see Arthur disarming an enemy near a train station. We see this guy tackling someone in the town of Blackwater. We can tell by the buildings in the background. We also have Charles Smith, one of the gang members, running what looks to be some kind of underground fighting ring. Maybe we can participate those, make bets, stuff like that. Finally, Sadie is stabbing someone or something. Bowler Hat Guy continues his narration, and we have Arthur crawling through a burning house. Then an interesting scenario here. It looks like John Marston is being apprehended, perhaps by the law, and Arthur Morgan, our protagonist, is just watching. Dutch is also apparently watching from a window and talking to another associate of the gang. So this looks like some kind of main story encounter and maybe the way that we meet John Marston. In this final little portion, we have more narration from Dutch saying, "Stay strong, stay with me." Obviously some kind of infighting going on. People are splintering off. Their way of life is being crushed, and so they're having to struggle with that. Visually, there are lots of things going on. We have this small lantern-lit area. We can see Pearson the cook and Bill Williamson talking and, gathering around. Not sure what that scenario is. We see Arthur Morgan on horseback with a bandana on, escaping from some kind of heist, perhaps. We see Dutch delivering this speech with Hosea Matthews holding a lantern out. And then a quick cut of Arthur participating in some kind of duel. As you can tell, once again, the models are very intricate. You can see every part of the gun moving if you slow it down and look very closely. And then we cut with a final look at Arthur Morgan on his horse. So this trailer doesn't give a lot of surface detail, but if you look closely, there's actually a lot going on. A lot of different characters, a lot of people, a lot of settings, a lot of interactions, lots of things that we will be doing in this game. And so very exciting. Another fantastic trailer from Rockstar. And if any more trailers come out, of course there will be more, you can expect me to break them down and share my insights here on the channel. And of course I'm going to stream the entire thing live over on my Facebook page. Once again, link is in the description below. Alright guys, that's it for this video. In the comment section below, tell me what you saw. Maybe I missed something, some kind of detail. I am not, superhuman. I'm not going to catch everything. So please share something if you saw something else. Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more commentaries just like this. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.